Hey up YouTube, so back again for another bite size. I don't think the dog's going to intervene this week. I wasn't going to do this, but I've been asked by quite a lot of people actually in various groups to do slugs. Now to talk about slugs, I was going to do these in springtime, but according to you guys out there, they're an all year round pest for a lot of people, so I brought it forward and we're going to talk about it today. So we'll play the credits and I'll see you in a minute. Right, so slugs. Not going to sort of go into different types and different shapes and sizes, you know, they're all weird and wonderful, they're all snails without shells. Bloody homeless snails. We're just going to talk about things about deterrents, about poisons, I suppose is the right word, and things like that, and about making life difficult for them and protecting your hard-earned crops and your young tender leaves and seedlings and things like that. As I sort of said in the intro, the reason I'm doing this now is I don't seem to have a problem with them through winter, but a lot of people out there do. You know, a lot of people have asked me to do this now, so here it is. So first method I'm going to talk about is something that's sort of a bit of a blanket method, and that's nematodes. The reason we're going to talk about nematodes is they're great for on the surface, so they're great for around your brassicas, in and amongst your lettuces, things like that, but they'll also get the slugs that are under the ground affecting your potatoes if that is a problem that you have. Whereas 90%, 99% of the other methods won't affect, because the slugs that are down eating your potatoes never see the light of day, they're never coming up to the surface. So if you're putting pellets down or wool, those little wool things, or eggshells, grit, whatever you've tried before, if you're using those methods, it ain't going to work on the ones that are under the ground eating your potatoes. Whereas the nematodes will. They will permeate down through the soil. It's a natural parasite of the slug, and all you're doing basically is increasing the quantity of this parasite, and they kill off your slug problem, or at least help control it a lot further. Best time to treat with nematodes is springtime in the evening, so they're not going onto hot dry soil. The reason springtime is any temperature below, I think, about 5 degrees and above sort of 20-25 degrees, it'll kill them. They won't survive, or they will be a lot less effective. The next one we're going to talk about is one that a lot of men are going to swear at me for, maybe some women as well, is beer traps. They can be as low tech as you like, from a jam jar or a bottle cut off, you know, a plastic pop bottle cut off, half filled with beer, the sweeter the better, and then your slugs will come along, you half fill it, you bury it then to soil level, slugs will come along, fall in, for want of a better word, get drunk, can't get back out, so they'll die inside there, and then you empty them out, refill it with some cheapo beer, and away it goes again. They're great for dotting in and around your brassicas, things like that, but they can also be quite high tech. You can spend money on them from the garden centre and things like that, but essentially a jam jar or a cut off pop bottle will work just fine. The next one is one that I'm going to try next year, and is probably the most organic way, and that's encourage predators. So encourage your larger birds, such as, I don't really want to say magpies because they will also eat your crops, but crows, ravens, swifts, things like that, they will all eat your slugs. They will all help keep the population down. They won't, obviously, if you've got your crops covered and the slugs are in there, obviously the birds ain't going to help you, or the wildlife ain't going to help you. The other one that I'm really focusing on for next year, or certainly for my overwintering, keeping the numbers down, because I'm going to try and experiment with some overwinter crops next year, is going to be hedgehogs. I'm going to try and encourage hedgehogs onto my allotment. I'm going to build them a den away in a quiet corner somewhere. I don't know how well it's going to work with having the dog, but we'll see. If the dog and the hedgehogs become a problem, then the hedgehogs will have to go, because the dog costs a lot of money. The next sort of natural method is barriers. Now the barriers, the reason I've sort of left them to quite low down is very controversial. A lot of people say they don't work, a lot of people say they do work. Most of them are free, so I see no reason why not to try them at least. Things like your coffee grounds, if you go to your local Starbucks, your Costas, your other coffee shops are available, and ask them. Generally they'll give you bags of coffee grounds, and I'm talking sackfuls. So don't use them in excess. Generally put a sort of wall, if you will, or a barrier a couple of inches thick, because if you just cover your bed in them, there's a high probability you're going to acidify your soil. Might be the wrong way around, but you're either going to acidify or alkalize your soil, which obviously, depending on what you're growing in there, may or may not be an issue. Eggshells are great. I use eggshells. I find they work. Obviously, having chickens, I have plenty of eggshells. I generally bake them first, turns them into a bit of calcium carbonate. It makes them break down a little bit faster into the soil, and you're feeding your plants as well. You're feeding your plants some calcium as well, so win-win. The other one you could do if you're a raised beds or pot grower is you can get copper tape, and all this does is copper naturally carries a very mild, very light, almost undetectable by us electrostatic charge, and the slugs will come up and be deterred from going over the tape. So you put essentially like a grease band on a tree, you put a single line of it round your pot, and I have seen other variants where people have hooked up 9-volt batteries to copper tape and things like that, each to their own. I don't know how much of a difference it will actually make. I'm running out of what I can remember now, so quick glance at my cheat sheet. Beer traps we've done, predators we've done, barriers, yes, sorry, with the the blue pellet ban. I'll try and put the name in here somewhere because I can't pronounce it. With that, these wool pellets came about. I know some YouTubers have used them to great success, and I know people on my allotment have used them and had no success with them. The slugs just went straight over or even under them. I don't know whether they were using them rightly or wrongly, but once again, give it a go. I know people that use dryer lint, which is essentially the same thing, but I suppose it depends on your clothes. I mean, if you're washing a lot of, not lycra, what's that plasticky clothes stuff, polyester, things like that, you don't really want that in your soil. I suppose it will eventually break down, but if you're a cotton or wool wearer, I don't see any problem with using that. So they're your main barrier options, really. And then it comes down to, before we get onto the chemical options, of which there is only, as of next year, one, comes down to the hard graft and the labour intensive ways. So you've got rake over your ground, especially in early autumn, or until, for as long as the winter and off season as you can, keep raking over your ground. That will expose any eggs, any slugs, to predators and to the cold, so that will freeze them. Remove leaves. Some people say to mulch your bed with leaves, which is great. It feeds your bed no problem, but what it does give is an ideal location for slugs to live and overwinter and breed. So once again, it's entirely up to you. I would say if you do use leaf mould, personally, put it in a leaf mould bin, let it rot down, use it as a mulch the following year. It takes 12 months anyway, so you know that's another option. The last option is one, I suppose if you like it, you like it, is to go out with a torch and pick them all up. On a night time is obviously when you're going to find them. Maybe if slug hunting's your thing, crack on. It's not my thing. It's a bit cold, a bit wet, a bit slimy, but hey, some people might enjoy it. And then your last option really is chemical, which is heavily frowned upon, and I can kind of understand the reasons why. The chemicals, obviously, you're introducing chemical poisons into something that sits quite low on the food chain. So if you're poisoning slugs and something's coming along and eating that poisoned slug, there's a chain effect. So I do agree with the ban of the little blue pellets. There is one that is going to come probably more popular next year, because obviously the little blue pellets have been the popular one for so many years, and that is a ferric phosphate based poison. Undoubtedly, ultimately, will probably end up banned as well, but that's something that's available and will probably become more widely available as of next spring, when the ban comes in again on the little blue pellets. So yeah, that's about it really when it comes to slugs. There's not a great deal to talk about. I think you should have plenty of weapons in your arsenal, plenty of ideas. Once again, there should have been little bits and pieces of information and things like that up here. I will have a quick search around for other YouTubers, sort of ones that have built beer traps and things like that. It is something that I'll cover in spring, but you can't bury beer traps now because your ground's frozen. So but if I do find any videos, they'll be in the description or in cards up here. So yeah, I think I'll call that done. So if you like what you see here, don't forget to subscribe. If you don't like it, don't subscribe. Until next time, I'll see you later.